Hey guys, I do not have a script, but I came back to Twitter after taking a few-week break, and I was really happy taking a break. There was a death of someone who I knew. I kind of like had the attitude like I don't want to waste my life on Twitter. Took a break, kind of like figured some things out. I'm gonna keep using Twitter, but I think I'm gonna gradually like wean myself off it to the point where I'm basically just using it to keep up with a few friends and like alert people when I have a new video or like new art to share. And I think I can do it now that I've kind of like, it was like the initial step of weaning myself off it that was the hardest. And then once you start that, you can get sucked back in again, but it's starting to get easier. Now, what prompted this is the thing that caused me to leave is still happening. So I think I've talked about this. I think I have talked about this directly, not just obliquely, but I'm kind of tired of the way the Comicsgate hashtag is going. I've been tired of it for about a year. So this is a really belated video. Like, you are either not on Twitter and like you just don't care, in which case I celebrate you, good for you, or you're on Twitter and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and not only do you know what I'm talking about, it's been weird for like a year at least. And you can show this objectively. If you bring up like Google searches for Comicsgate, there's a huge surge of interest around when your boy Zach was gate kept out of out of the comic book shops, and people wanted to support his book. To me, the only time Comicsgate was significant at all was when people were using it to rally around a person. The hashtag didn't matter. The idea of saying, we like Zach, we enjoy his content, or even, we don't exactly like Zach, we don't think he's right all the time, but we don't want him gate kept, and we don't like the comics press and people like trying to silence him and then all rallying against him as soon as they see that he's successful. That kind of beautiful little moment in time, to me, is what Comicsgate is. And once that's accomplished, it's like mission accomplished. The story is done. We don't need the Comicsgate hashtag anymore. We can move on and start making great comics, start enjoying great comics. We don't need it at that point. Now, if you go like 2 or 3 years back, there were people, myself included, who were hesitant to have a Comicsgate hashtag at all. And one of the arguments I made was, do you really want to saddle yourself with this? You want to think about branding? Do you want to attach yourself to Gamergate if you really have nothing to do with Gamergate? And one of the things I was worried about was, if you go back to Gamergate, one of the things that happened was there was like this honeymoon period where people were really excited. They believed they were going to change the gaming industry. They believed they were going to save the world and take on the SJWs and break the conditioning and stop the lizard people from turning the frogs gay, all that stuff, right? And then, like the fight started to happen, and this Gamergator was arguing with that Gamergator, and then this Gamergator was revealing secret documents on that Gamergator. It was just endless. Every big personality was going after every other big personality. So there was never like a moment I'd point to and say, this is officially when Gamergate died, except that it just kind of like endlessly became a bunch of obnoxious nonsense, dragging on and on and on and on forever, until finally everybody would agree, yeah, now the Gamergate hashtag is dead, even if we can't point to one spot. I feel like Comicsgate has been in that weird phase where there was a clear moment in time where you could say, wow, we're doing something great, we're gonna help your boy Zach, we're gonna save the comic book industry. And then the only way you would, I think you could disagree with me, is if you are actively using the Comicsgate hashtag every day and you're going after who you believe to be your enemies, and you're just not like paying attention to metrics like how many people are even using the hashtag Comicsgate anymore. So the weird thing about this is I've said I hate Twitter drama repeatedly, but the thing is, it sucks you in, and you start to get invested in like the fun Jerry Springer food fight aspect of it, which is why I started trying to actively break my Twitter habit. So I want to talk about a fight without actually talking about this fight specifically. I want to talk about what I kind of want to leave you with as my nugget, not my bleep you to Comicsgate, but my friendly goodbye. We tried. You tried to make it into something better than Gamergate. You objectively haven't. What do I think happened? This is really for the anti-EVS crowd more than the pro EVS crowd. So like I noticed at least 2 years ago that EVS would get into these fights with, other YouTubers. And my initial take was, well, I'm not involved in this fight. I don't know all the details. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes I don't know about. Maybe they'll work it out. So I kind of generally took a hands-off-ish approach, because my attitude was, if I am not directly involved, there's not much I can do. There's not much I can say. I can't play, school marm to people. It's not school marm. I can't play the school marm to people and lecture them about how they should conduct themselves. But I try to talk about like general principles. Like if someone is bullying you, you can't let the bully get to you. Just mute them. Just mute them. I know that what they're doing may be bad and hurt your feelings, but really giving them the time of day rewards the bully. Like that kind of general advice. But initially, my hope was, okay, there was this fight between EVS and this creator. Maybe they'll work it out. Maybe things will be okay again. And then a few weeks would go by and there'd be another fight. And then a few weeks would go by and there'd be another fight. And it'd just keep going and going and going. So basically, we're now at the point where most of the people who were initially interested in Comicsgate have moved on. They've moved on at least a year ago. Like the new people using Comicsgate are mostly dominated by either being pro-EVS or anti-EVS. So EVS uses the Comicsgate hashtag. His superfans use the Comicsgate hashtag. They claim the legacy of Comicsgate. They say they will police anyone and keep them out of Comicsgate if they're grifters, if they're just coming to steal money from the customers and trick Comicsgaters into supporting them. And then there's the anti-EVS side, who are really like sick of all the fights. They see EVS as responsible for it. They blame EVS for hurting other creators. And it's basically just formally an us versus them problem, where there are two settled groups. They hate each other's guts. They are going to go on arguing about this forever. So the reason I said this is for the anti-EVS people is, okay, I have seen enough of EVS's behavior that I have come to the conclusion that he's just not living up to the standard of professionalism he himself has espoused. He will sometimes go on tweets where he'll say, I want to see nothing but positivity. I want to see professionalism. I want to see a happy, uplifting, optimistic, comics discussion on Twitter. And he'll say, F off, Nazi swine, bleepity, 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 bleep. And I think that, I think most of the people who follow EVS and support EVS must know that he does this. The question is, does he just do it kind of because he loses his temper? Who's to judge? Do you just lose your temper from time to time? Or does he do this, repeatedly enough or purposefully enough that, you got to say, like, enough's enough. I'm dipping out. And you know what? I'm not going to judge you. If you like Cyberfrog and you say, I can't wait for Cyberfrog, I cannot wait to read that comic, I love EVS, I've loved him for years, I'm a super fan, good for you. Because I guess my takeaway from this video is just read what you like, enjoy what you like, buy and support what you like, and be honest. Like, if your favorite creator has some flaws, or they don't, then just be honest about that. You don't have to lie for your favorite creator. You don't have to pretend they're someone that they're not. You can say, yeah, EVS, he has some bad Twitter takes. I think sometimes he's a bit of a jerk, but I just like Cyberfrog. That's fine. I basically, I'd like to see Twitter get to the point where every time I log in, I don't see, the latest EVS drama. I'm going to start muting people who I think are doing nothing but contributing to EVS drama one way or the other. Because even if, some of these are important issues, but even if what you're talking about an important issue on Twitter, because you're on Twitter is designed to get you hooked on the app and keep you hooked on talking to the same few people forever, which is good if you find a few good friends who you really like, who you really respect, you really trust them, you're really cool with them. Talk to those people, but you have to find a way to not get to make Twitter your life. So there's the pro EVS side. I'm saying, okay, good for you. You like his comic, go support it. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to hate you. And for the anti-EVS side, I get it. EVS has these bad tweets. You're really sick of it. You feel like he's hurt creators. So my free advice to the anti-EVS side is, it's time to moveon.org. One of the things that contributed to this, I think, was a lot of the SJWs who used to be the enemies of Comicsgate moved on. Now, there were guys like SJW, Spider-Man, and Renfamous, and they would, run around calling people Nazis all the time, or there'd be ridiculous people who were trolling people and creating sock puppet accounts to gather information. Like, it was a weird reality TV time being part of Comicsgate. But then the SJWs all kind of like moved on, and they stopped like calling us Nazis all the time. I think part of it was, we started to block them. They obviously blocked us, or they'd block us and then they'd unblock us and call us Nazi and block us again, right? So why did the SJWs move on? Did the SJWs move on because they felt they've lost the argument, Comicsgate was triumphant, and they walked away with their tail between their legs? I don't think so. I think the SJWs moved on because they got bored with Comicsgate. They got bored with calling the same people Nazis over and over again, and they wanted to move on and call a new group of people Nazis over and over and over again. Basically, the enemies of Comicsgate decided that Comicsgate was boring, Comicsgate was a dead fish in the water. There was no, even they, the psychopath SJWs, realized that there could be better uses of their psychopath time obsessing over different things where they could actually have more of an impact. I think they realized they were talking to the same few people over and over again. So once the SJWs were kind of gone, well, the problem with this movement that lots of people have mentioned this, but if you don't have like a core thing that unites you, having a common enemy isn't enough to unite a group of people with different beliefs. So, like postmodernists and alt-righters and Christians and centrists and Democrats who are kind of like classical liberal Democrat, like these are all different ideologies and they don't really share a lot of core ideas in common, except we all dislike SJWs, and I think this has happened to anti-SJW YouTube. It's kind of become a little cringy and repetitive. So what happens is no SJWs to fight, so now you got to go fight someone else. And who's there? Well, there's the guys who were in Comicsgate, but they're not Comicsgate enough, right? So that's why Comicsgate has become a joke. I never made a video explaining why I think Comicsgate has kind of become a joke, but that's really the long and short of it. The SJWs moved on. Everyone in Comicsgate wanted to fight each other now, and it became two groups. So, since I said this is for the anti-EVS people, like, why am I not going to make I'm not going to make long-winded 90-hour research videos where I research every mean tweet EVS ever said and say, see, look at this hypocrite, EVS totally wrecked and destroyed, because I don't care. And my message to you is, trust me, anti-EVS people, you will be so much more happy if you just move on and just don't worry about EVS anymore. Unfollow him, mute him, mute mentions of his name. If talking about EVS frustrates you and you feel like you need to rehash this debate over and over and over again, I don't think you're going to persuade away the pro-EVS people at this point. They love his book or they love his YouTube channel, something. I unfortunately think he's chased away a lot of his core fans and his core supporters. And the thing about an indie book like Cyberfrog is, when you're paying $25 or $60 for a book, losing a customer is a big fat deal. It's a lot bigger deal than Marvel and DC losing a customer. But I'm basically at the point where I don't think that anyone's going to change EVS's mind. I don't think he's amenable to criticism right now because he's big enough YouTube channel that he's independent. He can make Star Wars YouTube videos for the rest of his life and make good income from that, unless the algorithm gets tired of Star Wars. But that's what I think is going to happen. But basically, I've tried to talk to EVS about some of my concerns, how I don't think he's always living up to the professionalism, and I basically I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. So one route would be to obsess about him, do the weaponized autism thing and obsessively record and understand everything there is to know about EVS so I can destroy. I don't want to do that because I don't hate EVS. I don't want to see him destroyed. I don't want to see him getting pwned and wrecked and destroyed and miserable. I don't want that. I don't want revenge on him. I just don't care. I just want to dip out and go read other comic books and enjoy other comic books and not have to argue the same stupid debate every day for the rest of my life because I've chosen to follow one creator. And maybe one route would be just to ignore these debates. But basically the way I want to use Twitter is I want to use it to look at art by people I care about and listen to thoughts by people who I think have something useful to say. EVS drama has devolved to this point where it's the same thing over and over and over again. Now, I'm not saying I hate the anti-EVS. I'm not saying I hate anybody. If you have a problem with EVS, you think he's been rude, you think he's done something terrible, and you feel like you need to talk about that, free speech is great. Free speech is great. Express yourself, tell the truth. But I just feel like Twitter isn't going to be a good vehicle for you to accomplish your goals. I think you'd just be happier if you moved on, like the SJWs did. Now, the SJWs moved on and they're not happy. Now they're unhappy about something else. They're trying to destroy someone else's life. But you can move on and be happy. There was this concept that kept getting thrown around the early days of Comicsgate called living rent-free in someone's head. And, your boy Zach would joke that he lived rent-free in the heads of SJWs because they would constantly obsess about him and constantly talk about him. And it was ridiculous. He was just a goofball with like an iPhone, pointing them shakily at a comic book with bad potato audio in the background. And he got all of these, big names really upset about him and going crazy about him all the time on Twitter. And so that was funny because, like these super serious, super famous comic book people, they were all getting bent out of shape over like your boy Zach, a goofy YouTube channel. That was the charm of the YouTube channel to me. And what I'm saying is if you let EVS live rent-free in your head, you lose. Even if you make a good argument, even if you unearth like the epic ponage moment that will destroy the person you think is your enemy, you're not going to accomplish anything. Even if you got everything you wanted and you destroyed your enemy, all you did was you destroyed, one guy who's being a jerk on the internet. Who cares? Who cares? This is a big, beautiful world with lots of amazing things for you to read and discover and enjoy. Go find a comic book creator you do enjoy, who you don't think is rude, and talk about all day about how cool they are. Right? That's it. That's what it boils down to. I'm tired of Comicsgate drama. It's mostly become centered around pro EVS or anti EVS. I've moved on. I'm not supporting Cyberfrog right now because I don't feel like he's lived up to the standard of professionalism I expect. But you know what? I don't need to devote the rest of my life to criticizing EVS and obsessively documenting and trying to destroy EVS. That's the point. So, War Campaign, if you listen to this, have fun. Like keep photoshopping X-rated content into people's mouths. I'm okay with a little trolling. I like a little trolling humor. I don't think it's that mature. I think you're hurting people's feelings. I think you're going to get bored of it eventually, but I just don't care. I don't care. Is there any other like bigger point to that? I don't know. I'm being a little preachy here, and I know it. I'm being a little preachy because I'm doing like the classic, Twitter drama sucks. You shouldn't do Twitter drama video, but the reason I made this is I come back to Twitter and it's still going on. The thing that annoyed me and made me want to leave Twitter is still going on when I come back. No one dropped a beat. So the point is it's going to go on forever. If it's making you unhappy, why are you doing a thing that's making you unhappy? You're doing it because Twitter gets you to be obsessed with it. You got to take my word for it. Find something else. Family, friends, other types of entertainments, good reading of good books. Something will fill the unhappy part of you that Twitter drama was filling for you. My way of dealing with the problem is I'm just shutting it out. I don't care. If I come back in, 2 or 5 years and, the polite EVS is back again, the cool, I'm a cool artist, I'm going to help you be a cool artist. If I see that EVS again, then I won't hold a grudge. I'll support his book. I'll be happy. I'll be excited. I'll see content that makes me happy and looking forward to the book. And if I come back and I see, more, epic ponage of enemy number 4003 today, then I'll dip out again. That's the point. Support who you want to support who makes you happy. If the drama itself makes you happy, I don't think it'll make you happy forever, but this is my goodbye. No more drama. I'm number one Marmaduke fan. I'm actually happy because I had this on my chest and I talked about it, but not really directly. So goodbye. So long, gay Twitter. Catch you later.